Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Mindset Monday. My name is Yves Doucet, and my Shelley, is taking a day off to rest today. So I'll be entertaining you if you want, or actually having a conversation for the next 30 minutes. And today's topic is the election. It's a big day for Canada today. Everybody's thinking about the election, or a lot of people are. And I've been voting for quite a few years, ever since I've been 19. I don't think I have missed 1 year. But this year, I'm debating whether or not I should even vote. Not, so I'm looking for your input of, whether or not you think voting is important for you. Um, and we're going to start with a conversation. I'm going to put the link here. Hold on here. Doing all of this by myself this morning, so give me a second. Um, Here you go. I put the link in the conversation for you in the Facebook Live, and I'm going to share our my screen. Give me one more second so I can figure this out. How to do that? How do I share my screen? But it's so. Is it important for you to be able to vote today? That's the question I have for you. Um, and how I guess what I'm saying is hold on, just let me do this for a sec here. Share. Here's my share. Here's my screen. So election day, what does this mean for you? And the first question I have, do you think it's important to vote? So if you click the link that I gave you before, actually, if you can scan this barcode, you can join the conversation. And I would like your input. Do you think it's important to vote? And for years, I always like portrayed that, or actually sold everybody on it's important to vote. It's important to vote. It's important to vote. And part of me still believes that it is important to vote for a variety of reasons. And one of them is because I guess we have fought hard, or actually our ancestors have fought hard for the liberties that we have. And we believe, at least I believe, that part of the liberties that we have is in the ability to make choices in our livelihood. Like we live in a very secure country, I believe. Very grateful for what we have. Um, as a French Canadian, um, we've survived a lot of things, and like most Canadians have survived a lot of history, and that's why we're here. And we're lucky to be here when you think about that. So, is it important to vote? What do you think? Do you think it's important to vote or not? I'd like to hear your opinions on that. So I'll just see if there's anybody getting into the conversation here yet. There's a few people in there. And my question to you, why am I asking myself this question? Well, not, for the last week or so, I've been having conversations with people that are voting differently than I was believing I was going to vote. And and you may think that because I'm a French Canadian, I have a certain viewpoint. I vote in a certain way, and you may be right. I have voted conservative, liberals, Green, NDP over the years. I've changed my mind several times. Most of the time, I vote, and the vote is either wrong or lost. Once in a while, I'm right. And but I'm interested to think. So one person says yes, it's yes, but we need to understand why. So why is it important to vote then, if you think it's important? And um, for the longest time, I thought, well, the vote matters. My vote matters, but does it really? Does it really matter? Does it make a difference in our lives? Or does it create distance between our neighbors? I was walking down the street yesterday, and I saw that there was conservatives, there were liberals, there were NDP, there were Green Party signs, and I thought that was kind of interesting and also beautiful in its own way. Like we live in a free country where people aren't tearing down their signs or they're not making it about an identity once you pick a party. And I had a really good conversation with one of my neighbors, and he's still my neighbor. And we were in opposing views. And I saw myself becoming a little emotional that he wasn't seeing the way I was seeing certain things. And that's the conversation I think I want to have with you. Like, um, I without telling you what if and what I'm going to vote, I would like to for you to consider that, is it important to vote? Does it change anything in your life? Does it create an identity for you, or can you let it go? So the conversation I was having with one particular gentleman, he was saying that the reason he's voting a certain way because he reads certain things, and he was insinuating that I don't read or I don't. And I read a lot and I listen to the news a lot and I have an opinion. And I took that kind of personally that he was insinuating that because I was kind of asking him questions. I think he understood maybe that I wasn't in agreement with him, that he was reading certain things, that he could conclude certain things that were different than me. And and I was a little offended by that, but not for too long. And one thing that I did agree with him at the end of the day, I said, it doesn't matter who wins, does it? Because I know this is based on, you know, 45 years of voting. I know that whoever votes, whoever wins, doesn't matter if my party wins or the other party wins, whoever is the leader of that party will have a job and they'll make money at it. And it will not change my life too much. It will not change my life at all, actually, other than the fact that I will have constraints based on the ideology or the decisions they make. Yeah. Here's one. It's a privilege to vote. It is a privilege to vote. It is. I agree. I totally agree. I think it's a privilege, and we take it for granted. I think if you come from other countries where it's not permitted to vote a certain way, or even to express your own of your view, like it's a privilege to be able to express your view, right? But I feel the divide during these times. I do too. This is the thing that I like, we're all Canadian. My neighbor is still my neighbor. It doesn't matter what color he is. But I saw myself being tainted because the color was different than my view. That's the question I have for you about why is it important to vote. I think it's important to vote. You get to take part of the direction the country will go. True. We get to decide. We get to decide, at least in a small way, we get to participate in a small way. Yes, it is so important to do our civic duty. A duty. Well, that's interesting. Is it a duty or is it a manipulation? Like once we have voted, are we stuck to that view for the rest of the 4 years, or do we go on and be neighborly with people, or do we start to fight and to start to defend the fact that even though we have lost the vote, we continue in our view, or do we get on board and become Canadian? That's the question. These people are only in charge because we elect them. It's so true. They have a job. We elect them to do a job. So, it's important. I think it is important to vote, but a lot of people aren't voting because I think you become kind of disillusioned with the fact that they're all, after the same thing. They're all humans and they're all, telling us, like they're selling us a salad if you want. They're all telling us what we want to hear so they can get elected, they can get the job. And I once remembered somebody asked me, what's the difference? What is the difference? What happens when you go for a job interview? What is the definition of a job interview? The job interview is a meeting of two liars. The person who wants a job lies about their skill set, and the person who is in the hiring lies about the environment that they're going to come into. So in a way, does it surprise you that we all are counting, like saying a little bit of a, I'm going to say selling our salads, selling our wares, selling our views, selling our things, and we all are delusional? And does it surprise you that all these leaders, all these people who are applying for the job are lying a little bit? No, it doesn't. It doesn't surprise me. I dislike the polarization that lecture creates, but the process is important. I love that comment. I think this, I'm going to put a little heart in that one. I think I like that comment because I too, I don't like the fact that we become so divisionalized, so opinionated that we can't see the human, that we can't see the person being, okay, we all lie a little bit. Come on. We all have our own needs, our own desires. We all want the best for ourselves and other people. You get on board with the decision, right wing or left wing, all part of the same bird. Oh, I like that. I like it. It's true, but I have a hard time doing that. I have a hard time, being part of it. I'm just telling you. I'm trying to be part of it, but I've survived conservatives. I've survived liberals. I haven't survived NDPs yet, but I've survived Marvel or Green parties or independents. But I've survived all the parties, and one thing I can tell you that no matter who gets elected, I will survive. What is the alternative? That is a great question. I think the alternative is, not appointing anyone, not believing that there is a due process, not believing that there is justice in the world. I think the alternative is very bleak, actually. So I kind of agree with that. I think it is important to vote. We're going to move on to the next question. So thank you guys for responding. The next question is, what will happen if your vote is the right choice? Will you be defined by being right? Will you go around and just start convincing yourself that you made a difference in 30 million votes? Hmm. How will you see the other side? You'll see in the background here, I have a couple of paintings that were made by Katie Duaron. She sells this for, it's not expensive actually, buy local. One of the things that I really, really, really love about this whole division that's created in the world today is we've become more Canadian than ever before. In other words, we're starting to remove the barriers between provinces. We're starting to remove the barriers between maybe even political parties. Can that happen? Because what we have to do is unite as a human race. Like it's great to be Canadian. It's great to be, right or left or liberal, conservative, green, NDP, independent. It's really important that you have a belief. But can you rise above your beliefs? Can you choose your beliefs? I was having this conversation with this person, and she says, "No, my belief is the truth." Is it? Can you choose your belief? If you choose to believe, for example, that you're a unicorn, will you become a unicorn? Think about that for a second. You won't, because you have no choice in your beliefs. Hmm. I'm not sure there is a right choice, but there is just a choice. Is there? Is there just a choice? You're right. There's a choice. We make a choice and we just observe what creates this, what is created from this. Can we and where my mind was it when I typically is when I vote and I win, I feel better. It's like picking a stock. Oh, I'm so good. I'm so good at picking a stock because the stock, right, went the right way. I'm so good because I'm good at investing. But when the stock goes the other way, I think, oh my God, I'm so bad at it. So I attach an emotion to my choice. And this is what I'm asking you. Are you attaching an emotion to the choice that you make? If you're attaching an emotion to the choice that you make, in other words, you're right or you're wrong, if you're right, what will happen? Will you start to belittle the other side? Or can you actually become a human? Can you see the other side? Can you let go? Is picking the lesser of the evil a right choice? I think we just pick as best we can with that what aligns with our personality, and we live with what comes next. Yeah, I think that's true. I like that too. I like that one too. I like all of these comments. I don't think it will define if I feel right or wrong. That's it. Like, I don't know about you, but it defines me somewhat. In other words, when I meet a person that has voted with me, I feel good. If I meet a person that has voted the opposite of me, I feel less than, alone, not part of, if you want. It does affect me. And I'm wondering if it affects you. And how long does it affect you for? And can we rise up about it? Can we rise up up from it? Can we become one from it? Or do we create barriers again? I feel nothing. I feel like the parties are very similar in how they will govern. That's interesting. Yeah, we make decisions, they make certain things, and I think certain parties have certain values and they vote certain ways. Like we all have values that vote certain ways. I think we are all voting for what we feel is the right way. I totally agree. But is there a right way? And does it define you? Does it define that you've picked the right choice? Or can you let go of it? The one thing that I've learned from Warren Buffett in investing is this, and this is the leadership thing that I've learned too. When you make a decision, your decision doesn't have an emotion. You do. In other words, if I pick a stock and the stock goes up and I make money, the stock doesn't care about my emotions and the vote doesn't care about yours. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. It doesn't have an attachment to you. You do. Next question. What will happen if the vote is not the right choice? Will it define, will you be defined by being wrong? Will you defend your views or will you be able to move on? Will you be able to adapt and to be creative? How will you see the other side? The person, the people who won. Can you get on board and become Canadian? Can you rise above from your emotions of being wrong? That's the question I have for you. And we face this question all the time. I remember when the first time that, that I kind of, nothing will happen beside the person I voted for didn't get voted in. It's true. Like my life will continue. I love that. My life will continue. I will continue to this is where I'm trying to get to. I realize that no matter what happens, my duty is to vote. I will either vote or not. And then if I vote, then my next duty is to do what? To rise above it, to be an example of what I want to become, to lead my life with responsibility, the ability to respond to life, to be conscious. That's what's going to happen if I don't make a right choice. And it's the same thing in life, and it's the same thing as a business. If you think about this for a second, when you go to you're in a business, and the biggest job, the biggest problem, sorry, the biggest challenge in all businesses is changing directions. We're going towards a certain goal, and then we need to change because the market has changed. This is the biggest challenge in all businesses. And it's also the biggest challenge personally. When we no longer can succeed in what we're doing, we need to make a change. But we're so attached to the way of being, we're so attached to that we're comfortable, we can't change. So we have two jobs today, as I see it. One is to vote or not to vote, and two is to let go. To be able to let go, to be able to see the opportunities that's presented inside of you. There's this great book called The Constraints. And it talks about the ability to live in a life full of constraints. No matter who gets elected today, we will have constraints, tax constraints, policy constraints, and our job is to continue to live the life that we want to live beyond the constraints, beyond the constraints. I will continue on living, doing what I feel is the best way to live. I love that. It's true, right? What happens after we vote is important. We put a lot of emphasis on which color we vote. And even like, think about it this way. Are you willing to put a sign of what you're going to do or even tell people what you're going to do in voting? I was meeting a friend of mine and she did the advanced polling and I asked her, how did you vote? And she told me, I'm not going to tell you how I voted. And I thought, okay, that's interesting because we have a resistance that if you vote blue, if you vote red, if you vote green, if you vote orange, you will be judged. That is sad. I think that's sad that we view our friends, our neighbors, our humans, fellow humans, fellow Canadians differently if they don't vote the same way. I think that's very sad. And I think that's our second job today. I think it's our duty as a human to rise above and beyond our emotional state and see the other person as a human as well. That they voted the same way we did. with the best information and beliefs they have. But this is the thing that when somebody tells me I read differently than you, I read more than you, or read something different than you, that's why I voted this way. Some is factual and some is not. There was a study done by Harvard not too long ago that says 50% of what we read or what we see or what we imagine is wrong. In other words, most of the stuff that we have in our head is invented. It's based on our past. It's based on our belief system. We see and we hear what we want to see and hear, and then we make up stories about it. Becoming Canadian to me I'm a proud Canadian. I think one of the best things about being Canadian is our kindness, is our politeness, our ability to see the neighbor. And that's why we have one of the our lifespan here in Canada is like 82 for men and 85 for women. It's one of the longest lifespan, if you're for a human, in the world. And the reason for that is I believe we can let go. I believe we can live and let live. We can see the other person and let them actually be themselves. I think that's the most important thing. Okay, let's move on to the next question here. Can you rise above the decision you have made? Or will you defend this decision for the next 4 years? I think that's the second job we have to do today. Can we rise above the emotions in our body? Can we rise above the fact that we were right or we were wrong, and the fact that the way we voted has no emotional attachment other than what we give it? Can we rise above our emotions? And the reason I ask this question is if we stay in our emotions and our emotions dictate our stories that we have in our head, then we're stuck in our past. There is nothing we could do to rise above it. And if we can't rise above it, then we're stuck in repeating the same thing over and over again. I don't think that's living. I think that's living in the past. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of tired of living in the past. I want to live in the future. I want to be part of a future. Yes, good job. And it's the job. The job is to vote and let go. Go and vote and let go. And then you'll see a part of reality. Someone said to me not too long ago that we only see approximately 1% of reality because most of what we see is based on our behavior and our past. Not only our past, but our past of our parents and our grandparents. For me, it's just a vote. I don't recall the person I voted for the last election. I like that. Being able to, this is the leader right there, right? Like if you look at the one trait that defines a leader, the one thing, bad or good leader, the one trait, the ability to let go. Letting go. Once you've voted, can you let go? Can you become Canadian? Can you rise above it and have a responsibility? Does it really matter? Am I going to change the way I lead Dovaco or I lead my life or I choose the things that I do depending on who gets in? Absolutely 100% not. I can tell you one thing. I will continue to rise above my own thoughts and my own emotions. I will continue to be the kindest person I can. I will continue to do my best every day to treat people with dignity and respect, to see them and allow them to be who they are. I will continue to do that. And this is my responsibility. I don't need anyone to tell me what the law is on treating people right. I don't need anybody to tell me, how I can be a conscious human being. That's that's inside each and every one of us. It's the balance between the ego and the servitude. It's the balance between being present and being in our past, moving and discovering. My parents and their friends kept who they voted for secrets. I think that dates back to it was dangerous. A lot, you can get persecuted. Like you don't have to go very far to see that still people are persecuted because they voted a certain color. Can you be friends with the other side? I really don't care if you voted one way or the other. I'm curious to why though. I am curious because I want to know. I want to educate myself, and then we'll still be friends. We now feel the need to try and motivate others to choose the way that we have chosen. Yeah, that's part of somebody will say the reptilian brain, whatever you want to call it, but it's because we want to survive. If the concept of a belief is there so that I have a path to choose, if I choose the path, I want other people to join me because I'm afraid to be alone. And every time you fight and you try to encourage a person to vote your way or to go your way, you feel more lonely, not more belonging. Belonging comes from the inside. A feeling of belonging comes from the inside. And you have to I think we have to release this concept that we have that the only way to feel something is to actually vote a certain way so people will like us. And this is true for everything we do. If you look at most of the suffering we have inside of us, it's because their business is not going the right way, or a person doesn't agree with us in the same way, or that we're voting the wrong way, or the stock market doesn't go the right way. I can tell you, ever since I've let go of these feelings, there is more opportunities for me. And I hope there'll be more opportunities for you. Yeah. I love the conversation. I'll keep it going, and you can certainly put in more conversations if you want later on today. Um, and you can share any other thoughts you have with the elections or that you have with me as we end up. We're getting close to the half hour here. And I think I will vote today. Yeah, I think I will vote and I will let it go. And my job tomorrow morning will be to wake up and see all my neighbors as Canadians, see all of you as Canadians. My job will be to let go and become responsible, a responsible man, a responsible business owner, a responsible friend. I will be able to respond more than you and be kinder because I was given the choice to vote and to actually be heard. Mhm. And I hope you do too. So I hope you make the choice that's right for you and you can let it go. And I hope to see you soon at the coffee shop and you can say hi, even if I didn't vote the same way you did. Um, I'll be glad when the election is over so we can stop seeing all the ads. Yes, I agree. Too much of it. Let's move on to something different. Move on to building our great country. Move on to building our lives and living. Move on to, experiencing something different than just an ad. I love that. Love that. Love that. Thank you so much for joining me today. Shelley, I hope you get some rest. I miss you a lot. Hopefully, we'll see her next week. And I love you all. And thanks for joining us at Dovico. And don't forget that we make software. We make software for a living. If you want to buy local, you can buy from us. We make software for timesheet that helps you get your project done on time and on budget. And we also have a software called ShowUp that helps you, get a conversation going with your team. Because what we've discovered here at Dovico is the number one component to driving a a successful project is communication. It's the ability to communicate between team members, to have an honest conversation. And this software that we're using right now, right there, you see, opens up a conversation that you are able to say and say the things you need to say so you can be heard. And that feeling of being heard, that's being Canadian and being human. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. I wish you a great week. It's going to be a beautiful week here in Moncton, so enjoy. And I'll finish with the sign off that Shelley usually says, get your workout in. It's important. And, you know, it matters how you show up. Thank you.